Right now on the Home Strategist, I know you've heard this phrase before. This house has good bones. Real estate agents say it, HGTV says it, flippers say it. But what does that actually mean? Because if you're buying a house, good bones is one of the most important things that you can evaluate. Except that most people are looking at stuff like paint colors and countertops when they should be looking at those bones. Today I want to explain what good bones really means and how to spot it when you walk into a house. I'm Dr. C and you're watching The Home Strategist. Let's start with what good bones isn't. Good bones has nothing to do with flooring, cabinets, countertops, or fixtures. Those things are all cosmetic and relatively easy to change. Good bones refers to things that are hard or expensive to change. Things like structure, layout, core construction, and important historical upgrades that have been made. Those are the bones that we're talking about here. Start with the structure of the house. This means foundation, framing, the roof structure, things like load-bearing walls. If those things are solid, you're starting from a good place. Major structural problems are expensive and very disruptive to fix. If the foundation is failing or the framing is compromised, that house does not have good bones. I don't care how pretty it looks. When you walk into a house, you want to look for things like sagging floors, large cracks in foundations or walls, doors that don't close properly, and uneven roof lines. Those can be big warning signs that the bones aren't as good as they appear. The second major factor is layout. Some layouts are just fundamentally bad. Tiny chopped up rooms, awkward hallways, bathrooms that are in strange locations or they're poorly proportioned. Those things are hard to fix because they involve moving around walls, plumbing, and major structural elements. You got to go out and hire labor. You might have to hire an architect or an engineer. There's a bureaucratic permitting process. In other words, big bucks and big hassle. A house with good bones typically has a logical flow to it, proper room proportions, the bedrooms are grouped together and they're a decent size, and the public spaces are separated appropriately from the private spaces. A good layout can usually be modernized, but a bad layout often requires major reconstruction. Next are the mechanical systems. This includes things like plumbing, electrical, and HVAC. These systems can be replaced, but the question is whether they were installed in such a way that allows for upgrades without tearing the whole house apart. For example, not everyone loves the look, but I actually appreciate a suspended acoustic tile ceiling in a basement because I know that I can access many of the mechanical systems for the first floor. Homes with accessible mechanical systems are much easier to improve and repair over time. Homes where everything is buried behind drywall and difficult to access, not so much. And bones aren't just about the house. They also include the property itself. A great house on a terrible lot still has a problem. Here's some things to consider. If you live in a place like Arizona, New Mexico, California, Florida, sun exposure is important because if you have a south-facing backyard, you better really like the heat because there are going to be times of the day when you might not even be able to go out on your patio. You want to look at things like street noise. You want to look at the position of the house on the lot. Is there any room to expand or remodel the home? You can renovate a kitchen, but you can't move the sun or relocate the street. Those things are part of the bones of the property. Another part of good bones that people often overlook is what previous owners have already taken care of for you. Some parts of a home simply wear out over time. Things like roofs, windows, siding, furnaces, water heaters, and electrical panel upgrades. Those things aren't exciting upgrades, but they are expensive and in a lot of cases unavoidable. When you walk into a house and discover that many of those items have already been taken care of, that's a very good sign. It means the previous owners were maintaining the property instead of just cosmetically updating it. Now, a few extra things to think about. And the first one is the era of the home. This is where things get interesting because certain eras of construction tend to have better bones than others. For example, in my opinion and in my experience, homes built between about 1950 and 1980 often hit a sweet spot. These were post-war homes built for baby boomers. They were simply great homes. They often have very solid framing, simple logical layouts, good room proportions, and very functional mechanical systems all in all. They weren't overly complicated and they weren't built with the cheapest materials possible. Many of these houses are incredibly good candidates for renovation, and that's why flippers and renovators love them. They're not perfect, but they're a great canvas to build equity. Newer homes are not necessarily bad, but many modern homes prioritize visual impact over structural simplicity. It's symbolism over substance. Things like vaulted ceilings, very complex roof lines, decorative architecture, and just overall finishes. Those things look really impressive, but they also introduce a level of complexity. And sometimes that complexity makes future repairs or renovations harder. Older homes with simple construction can actually be a lot easier to work with. So here's the simplest way to think about it. A house with good bones is a house where the things that are hard to change are already good. If those things are solid, pretty much everything else can be improved. And if you learn how to recognize good bones, you'll start seeing houses very, very differently. You'll stop shopping for finishes and start shopping for potential. Thanks for checking out the Home Strategist. If you appreciated this content, give us a like, drop us a comment, and please subscribe to the channel.